Varlamore Part 2, The Rising Darkness, is set to release with this week's update. So as always, today we're going to go over everything you need to know before release. As you can see by the map, we are expanding further north and west. One of the biggest additions possibly being this little island down here to the south being Alderaan. And Alderaan's going to be home to a brand new murder mystery quest we'll cover in a minute. And up here we got a few towns that will be probably involved in some of the new quests. And then an Icy Mountain where we're going to be taking on the brand new boss. But in terms of content, the first thing we have to talk about is a couple new quests. The first one is the Heart of Darkness, which will require completion of Twilight's Promise, along with skill requirements of 55 Mining, 48 Thieving and Slayer, and 46 Agility. This quest will also have a combat level recommendation of 65. The next quest is the Murder Mystery Quest, and it is titled Death on the Isle. And to take on this quest, all you have to have is completion of Children of the Sun, and then 40 Thieving, 45 Agility, and 30 Crafting. But if you're not a big questing person, the next piece of content we have is the brand new boss. Quite a difficult name to pronounce, so I am just going to call him Huey, and it is a brand new group boss, boasting a recommended combat level of 90+. And despite it being a group boss, there is a max limit of 20 players that can take on the boss at any given time. And in terms of mechanics, you're going to fight this boss all the way up and around the mountain, attacking and killing any parts of the boss that poke through the surrounding caves, until finally a path has been revealed that lets you go all the way to the top to take on the head. And now that we know how the boss partially works, let's talk about its rewards. The first one is the Tome of Earth. Just like its Tome of Fire and Water counterparts, the Tome of Earth will provide infinite Earth runes when charged, and it'll also provide a 10% damage boost to Earth spells whenever it's charged with soiled pages, and the Tome and the soiled pages will both be dropped by the boss itself. Next up we have the Dragon Hunter Wand. This boss is a draconic creature, meaning that things like the DHCB and the Dragon Hunter Lance will both be very effective here, but we're also going to be getting a brand new magic counterpart, requiring 65 magic and a 5-tick weapon. This staff will also allow you to auto-cast any spell from the standard spellbook. And in terms of stats, it'll offer 10% in terms of magic strength, but also an additional 50% Dragonbane accuracy and 20% Dragonbane strength. Meaning when used in tandem with things like the Tome of Earth, it will be best in slot on handling a few of those Metal Dragon Slayer tasks. But when it comes to bossing and higher end PvM, there is still a decent gap between this weapon and things like the Dragon Hunter crossbow or the Lance. Next up we have the Huey Hide Armor. And there are 4 pieces being a body, legs, head, and bracers. The head and body both requiring 40 defense and 70 range. But then going along with standards, the range bracers and legs both do not have a defense requirement. And essentially this armor is just a buffed up version of Blessed Dragonhide. Almost or equivalent stats in all things defensively except for slightly better magic defense, but boasting a massive +8 prayer bonus when all 4 are equipped. And then lastly, for our tradable rewards from Huey, we have a prayer regeneration potion, a toned down version of the prayer enhance that you can find in the Chambers of Xeric. Each dose of this regeneration potion will last 8 minutes and regenerate 1 prayer point every 12 ticks, resulting in around 8 prayer points a minute and a total of 66 points per dose. And in order to make this potion, you will need a brand new herb, and to get this you will use the seeds that are dropped from the boss itself. But once you've got the herbs, you will also need a brand new secondary, the Aldarium, which will be from the new Herblore activity Mastering Mixology, and making the potion will require 58 Herblore. Next up we have the Colossal Wyrm Agility course, a piece of content that was initially supposed to come with Varlamore Part 1, but just wasn't able to be delivered in time. There will be a basic route for players requiring 50 agility, or a more advanced route requiring 62. And in terms of agility XP rates, this will be slightly below other options in the current range level, but it does come with the added benefit of being much more AFK and low intensity. This new course will also come with some of its own new rewards. While going through the obstacles, you will have the ability to pick up termites. And you can use these termites to buy amylase packs, the Colossal Wyrm Agility Course teleport scrolls, or even a brand new Graceful Recolor that gives you a Varlamore themed set. And then lastly, you can also pick yourself up a brand new Squirrel Transmog. But now for the last part of Varlamore Part 2, we have the new Herblore activity Mastering Mixology. Now this activity is more based on the rewards because it will be exponentially worse XP an hour than just traditionally training your Herblore skill. Now let's do a quick crash course on the gameplay. The way this works, you'll take unnoted herbs out of your bank, and as we can see by the graphic, there is a bank chest placed very conveniently just outside of the area. And to start, you'll use these herbs on the refiner. You can let this process work automatically, or you can spam click through your herbs to make it a little quicker. But doing so, you will refine your herbs into 3 different paste types, depending on the tier level of herbs you turned in. And it's important to know you will need all 3 types to consistently satisfy the potion orders. Once you've made the paste, you can store them in the adjacent hopper with maximum amounts of 300 each. And if you look at the graphic up here in the top left, you can see how much of each paste you would have inside of the hopper. And any excess you would have, you can store in the bank. Now continuing to look up here in the top left, now we go on to the potion orders. At any given moment, you'll have 3 different potion orders you can choose from. And there are also convenient lab notes nearby that tell you exactly what goes into each given potion. Then when it comes to actually making the potion itself, you're going to use these levers located on this table right here, each corresponding with one of the pastes you implemented into the hopper, which will allow you to fill up the mixing vessel. You'll then have the ability to take it to one of the corresponding tables around the room, and depending on which table you need to take it to, it will either concentrate, crystallize, or homogenize the potion in order to finish it off. Once done, just place the potion on the conveyor belt. This will finish the order and in turn give you points. The amount of points you receive will be dependent on how much of the Mox, Aga, or Lye paste you are used. And they did note there is more you can do to accelerate this process, but that is just the bare bones basic of how it's going to work. So with that out of the way, let's talk about all of the rewards that are going to be associated with the Mixology activity. First up, we have potion packs, and there are 3 different tiers. The Apprentice requires 60 Herblore, the Adept 70 Herblore, and then Expert level 85. Opening these packs, as their name indicates, will reward you with potions. And obviously, the better the pack, the better the potions. But you're also not going to be able to receive any potions that you lack the Herblore level to create. And next up, we have both a tradable secondary being the Aldarium and the Goading potions. But this potion itself is essentially just an aggro potion, making any enemies within a 9x9 radius aggressive to the given player. And this doesn't affect any enemies that are already aggroed against another player, but it will definitely make some Slayer and AFK training aspects exponentially easier. To make this potion, you will need the new secondary, the Aldarium, along with an unfinished Harlander, and it will require 54 Herblore to make. Moving on, we have the Radiance pouch, and this is an untradable reward. And this item is essentially just like the herb sack, but for secondaries. And one interesting benefit is you can just make potions from the secondary ingredients inside the bag. You don't have to remove them prior. But they did note they will limit some areas where you can do this. Next up, we have the Alchemist outfit, which will come in a set of goggles, top, legs, and gloves. But the only part of the set that has any use other than cosmetic is the goggles. And when worn, these will provide a 10% chance to save a secondary ingredient when you're mixing potions. Obviously, this set is untradable like all other skilling outfits in the game. And then for our last couple, we have the Alchemist amulet, once again untradable. And you'll be able to charge this amulet by using amulets of chemistry on it, and it is essentially just a buffed up version, giving you a 15% chance to mix 4-dose potions when worn. And then we have one of the more hotly discussed rewards, and that is the pre-pot device. This is also going to be a tradable reward, and essentially this device just allows you to insert doses from up to 5 different potions, and by clicking on the device, it will drink all of those potions at one time, doing exactly as its name implies, just pre-potting. And you can either fill the device up using potions in your inventory, or just configure loadouts like something similar to the rune pouch. The device will store up to 4 different loadouts for your potions, but it is important to note that you do have to be within a bank or next to a bank chest in order to use this item. And then lastly, we have an account unlock, which is an untradable type reward, being the potion storage. And as its name implies, it is essentially just going to be an item that you can put into your bank that when opened will pull up a tab very similar to what this looks like right here. So rather than having all of these potions taking up 30 different spots in your bank, you'll be able to buy yourself a potion storage and throw it inside, taking up merely one space. But with that, that's everything you need to know about Varlamore Part 2 before it releases this Wednesday. If you guys did enjoy or found this video helpful, consider dropping a like down below. It massively helps me out. Otherwise, I will catch you guys on day of release.